Alright, what is up guys, Azura here, and today we are here to take a look at a deck that only took all of G to finally be really good. It is none other than Gear Chronicle. This last set of, should be like the last main, quote-unquote main set of G, finally gave Gears enough stuff to actually be a very, very, very good deck. And today we're here to take a look at it. So yeah, so without further ado, let's take a look at the list. So we actually have quite a bit of new cards in here, so we'll just quickly go from top to bottom as per usual. So first off, our starter is the Dran Z. So Dran Z is by far the best starter this deck has now. Its skill is when your grade 2 or higher Zodiac Timepiece appears on Vanguard, you can bind him to check top 5 and add a grade 3 or grade 1 from among them to your hand. So the thing it adds does not need to be ZTB, but the majority of your deck, or all your entire deck, should be ZTB. So Dran can find you a 1 or a 3, so it can find you either your main ride, it can find you PGs, it can find you Napadas, or whatever you find off the top. Usually, the thing you're looking for with this is usually your main ride if you don't have it. Stride fodder if you really need it as well, but this deck has alternate ways to stride, which we'll go over when we get to the grade 3s. PGs, obviously, and Napadas. So very versatile, can grab a bunch of stuff, and its other skill in the bind zone is GB1. Discard one card from your hand and add it back to your hand. So you can this card is reusable, but this card does not have anti-retire. So against retire matchups, Dran might just die if you try to reuse it. But because this card, the first skill is not GB locked or anything, you can use it immediately on turn 2 when you ride. So your Dran, for the most part, you'll always get at least one use out of it. So Dran, very, very good. This new Dran, very, very good. And there is actually no reason to play any other starter other than this than Dran Z. So that's it for starter. And for grade 1s, we are playing 4 Napada. So if your Vanguard is a ZDB, it gets intercept. It can intercept in the back row. So back row intercept, very good. I think this card is actually very important to play at 4. I definitely think that some lists don't play or play less of it. But I think Napada being just slow the game down to a crawl to get you to your third try to win con is very, very important. And that's why I'm at 4. I was playing with 3 for the longest time, but I think after playing with the while, I think this card is very, very important to play at 4, in my opinion. This card can definitely just win you games because your opponent can't hit you in the face hard enough. So 4 of that, 4 of the Arcas, 4 of the ZTB PGs. So Drop Zone GB2, you can bind a copy of herself and a copy of his grade 3 ZTB from your Drop Zone and bind it. And add her back to hand from drop, and then discard 1. So recyclable PGs, pretty good. And that's your bind zone 2, which actually does matter for a card in here, so pretty good for that. 2 of this guy, he is a ZTB. He also recycles. Everything in this deck is a ZTB minus the heal card, so I won't go over that anymore. So yeah, everything here is ZTB minus the heal cards. I mean, his skill is on play your Vanguard's a grade 4, soul charge 1. Or actually no, on play GB1, you can soul charge 1, and then if your Vanguard's grade 4 or higher, you can soul blast 1 and put him to the bottom of the deck to choose any 1 card from drop zone and put it back to the deck as well, and CC 1. So a recycler and a CC, very good there, and a source of soul if you don't want to actually use this recycle effect. So this card is really good for a multitude of reasons and definitely worth playing because of that. Deck out is a mild concern in this deck, so having a card that says you can't deck out is really good. Soul is also very important in this deck, so if you choose to not use the recycle effect, it's an extra soul for you to use, and the CC is just nice, I guess. This deck doesn't burn through CB that fast or need that much CB, so the CC part is probably the least relevant part of the effect, but being a +1 soul or a recycler is very good. And finally, the new grade 1 that we have is the Mary Block Dragon. So its skill is deck or drop zone. If your Vanguard is a grade 3 or higher, it gets +2 grade, so this card counts as a grade 3 in your deck and in your drop. So both places actually relevant, which we'll go over when we get to the cards that actually care about this. And GB1, when this unit boosts a unit with ZTB, actually when this unit boosts, this unit gets +2k per ZTB unit on your board, and at the end of the battle you bind it. So really big booster, and it sets itself up in the bind zone, so very good there. And the only reason I'm playing 3 of it, I think this card is actually really good. I think this card is a card I'd actually want to play 4 of, but I personally just value Napada more, and I value having a second copy of the recycler in the deck. But I definitely think that Mary Block is a very, very good card, and a card I wish I could play at 4, but I personally just value these other cards more at these ratios, so that's why I'm only playing 3 of it. So that's it for the grade 1s. Grade 2s, we're playing 3 of her. She is a resist, so if your Vanguard is a GB1 Vanguard, the ZTB gets resist, so resist is, after you try it once, so Resist actually does come up in the stuff like the mirror and stuff like chaos actually does matter. So she's mainly here for the resist, but her other skill is when this unit attacks, you can just have her gain plus 2k for every ZTB in your bind zone, I think, or she gets big in that end of the battle. If she chose to give her power, she binds herself. So the second part where you get power doesn't come up too often, but you mainly use her because she has resist. And this deck has Split Pegasus, you can tutor her out, so you can tutor out double resist. So for that reason, I think this card's good just because she has resist. And I think the meta actually does call for a few resist right now, so that's why we're playing 3 of her. Next up, we're playing 3 of this Tiger. So its skill is, during your turn, if your Vanguard is a Chrono Jet plus 2k, and then when this unit attacks, if your Vanguard attacks a Vanguard, if your Vanguard is a Chrono Jet, CB1, look at top 3 and add any ZTB from one to your hand. So this card can help you dig for PGs, dig for other pieces, dig for Napadas, dig for all that. So really good. I think this is probably one of the better grade 2s in the deck. If anything, I think this next card, the Unicorn, is potentially cuttable down to like less copies and play more copies of either the resist or the one as the hand or both. Because a lot of times this card feels like it's a win harder card sometimes. So yeah, but this card's still pretty solid for what it is. During both players' turn, if you're Vanguard Chrono Jet plus 2k, so 11k intercept. It doesn't matter too much. Usually everything just dies anyways, so removal. So 11k intercept, I guess. And then when this unit attacks the Vanguard, if your Vanguard's a Chrono Jet, CB1, look at top cards in your deck equal to the number of ZTB units on your board. So hypothetically, if you have a full board, you check top 6 because Vanguard counts as well. If you have one less, go to 5, etc., etc. You look at X amount equal number of ZTB on your board, and then you get to call any one ZTB from among them that is not another copy itself and call it. So it's an extender, it can fill up your board. It's still a +1 at the end of the day, but personally speaking, I think adding to hand is probably a little bit better than calling to board, but sometimes this card can just set you up for lethal or set you up for pushes that you otherwise wouldn't be able to do if you didn't have it in your deck. So that's why I'm still playing 3 of it. And finally, we're playing 4 of this guy. I have no idea what his name is, but his skill is if you have no cards in bind zone, this unit cannot attack, both on van or rear. But this skill should not matter because Dran will bind itself immediately when you ride it. So this downside should not be a downside for the most part. And then at the end of the battle, this unit attacked if it was boosted, so it does not need to swing at van. CB1 bind itself and choose a grade 3 and a grade 1 ZTB in your bind zone and call them to the same column. So the usual combo with this is you boost this with the Mary block, and then the Mary block will bind itself, and then you use its own skill to bind itself, and then you recall a whole column to that side, one of which will be the Mary block that you bind it with its own skill. So this card is an extender that does not need to swing at van to actually extend, while also resetting an entire column. So very good there, and it's a 10k ride. So if you ride it, chances are your opponent cannot aggro you as well, because 10k bases are pretty annoying to deal with for a lot of decks. So yeah, so 4 of this, and that's it for the grade 2s. And as for triggers, we're playing 4 heal guards. We're playing 2 of the Sneck on stand because the deck out is an issue and this deck can recycle triggers. So I think playing a few stands is pretty nice in the deck. But its skill is on place. If your Vanguard is a ZTB, when called from deck, your Vanguard is a ZTB. This one gets plus 3k, and then if you have no face up cards in your damage zone, you CC1. So basically, in early games, if you like slam down a bunch of Napadas early, your opponent couldn't do damage to you, and you burn hard your CB on other things. If you call this out of your deck, you can CC1, so that's pretty cool there. But we're mainly playing it just because it's a ZTB grade 3, which is important for the main ride. Next, we're playing 3 of this Bison. It just gets really big. It gets plus 1k per card in your G zone, face up card in your G zone, and then you can CB1 to do that effect again, basically, for even more power. So just a big beat stick, nothing else to it. All the ZTB grade 3s aside from your main ride sucks. I'd say replacements you could play in these slots would be Jet G as a backup ride, but I personally think that the Sneck and the Bison do a little bit more just on rear, so that's why I'm playing these instead of the backup ride, because I personally think that if this deck does not find Jet Z as its main ride, it kind of falls apart. I don't think the backup ride fixes that much. The backup ride, having Jet G as backup ride, maybe will let you play the game comfortably for one turn, but then every turn after that, you just feel really, really bad about it. So yeah, that is why I'm personally not playing backup rides. You can definitely play some if you want, but I personally choose not to. And finally, the new star of the show. I think the reason why this deck is so good now is your new ride, the Jet Z. So its skill is when you're paying the cost for Stride, you can pay the cost of with bind a grade 3 ZTB from your drop zone instead as the cost, instead of paying like discard cost. So obviously all your grade 3s, and then the Mary block, which counts as grade 3 in drop, is also usable as Stride fodder in drop. So very good there. And since it's binding, you also set up your drop zone for the grade 2 and the grade 1 combo, because if you just have the 1 right, you can it binds itself, and then if you bound it to 3 to stride, that's like a whole column you can call out already. So really good there. And then its other skills also really good. Its stride bonuses on when you stride on top of it. Soul Blast 1 and choose 1 rear guard on either side of the board and put it back to the bottom of the deck. So you spin a card, your card or your opponent. Most often you're spinning your opponent's, because then you have to call 1 card from your deck with the same grade, with grade +1 equal to the card you spun. So if you spun your opponent's intercept, you call a 3. You spun a 0, you call a 1. Those are usually most common. You spin a 1, you get a 2, etc., etc. So this Jet Z itself is a +3 every single turn, which is actually insane. Because +1 because you stride for free, +2 because you get to call a card from your deck, and the other one is a more of a -1 to your opponent, but it's still +1 in the sense of card economy. So it's Jet Z. This card by itself is a +3 every single turn, which is absolutely insane. But you would think if you spin with answer call a 3, that's not really an issue, because Mary Block counts as a 3 in deck, and if you call a 3, you can always spin it back to your deck yourself with the Split Pegasus to call out 2 intercepts. So this card is just Jet Z is just absolutely insane, and in my opinion, the reason why this deck is so good at the moment, or at least one of the main reasons at least why this deck's so good at the moment. So yeah, so for that, no reason to play less of it. You need to find this card to win the game because of how strong it is. And that's it for the main deck. G-Zone, Harmonix is Harmonix, and then I think it's only fair to talk about these 4 cards in the G-Zone, or 3 cards rather, all in tandem with each other. So you'll see here there's a very cheesy card with the Mystery Flare. There's Mystery Flare, Huanglong, and Gear Groovy. So this here is like the whole package. I'll say here, I don't think this is the optimal G-Zone. I think the optimal G-Zone will have should have 4 Avenires, but I personally have 3, so I only have the G-Flip, so I can't play the 3rd one. But I personally think that the G-Zone should have 4 Avenires if you have it. I think this package is actually pretty suboptimal. You'd cut like the 2 Groovies for 2 more Avenires. You cut like 1 of these for a 3rd Pegasus, and then that 1 is locking me whatever you want. Probably just keep the Huanglong. But this package here is mainly here to cheese if you just really need 1 more turn to play the game to win. Because Heritage is your main win con, but sometimes you just cannot get to your 3rd stride. I guess I'll go over Heritage first, because that gives a little more context here if you don't know what everything does. So when this card is returned to the G-Zone, you choose 4 ZTBs, 4 G-Unit face-up ZTB G-Units in your G-Zone that's face up, and put them back face down. And then you gain an extra turn, and then at the start of your turn, you stride him from your G-Zone. So basically, this card reads, as long as you stride and flip ZTBs for your 1st and 2nd stride, once you get the 3rd stride, you get an extra turn for essentially free, for no cost, that's all whatsoever, and you get to stride him on top again. So the reason why we need this whole package here is because if we just go MFD, or we just go we just go MFD for this, we won't have the 4 face up for the next turn. So what we do here is if you feel like you're in a situation where you might need an extra turn, your 1st stride is almost always Split Pegasus. So you Split Pegasus, you flip the Huanglong, and then the turn after that you win a Groovy, and then you Groovy flip the MFD, and then you use Groovy to copy both MFD and the Huanglong. And if you hit the extra turn, or you live their turn, you still have Heritage as a follow-up, so you get 3 straight turns in a row. This does not come up very often, but in some situations where you just need that extra turn, more often than not, this is probably like the mirror where you went first, and you cannot kill on your 2nd stride, because in the mirror, if you cannot kill on 2nd stride, you're gonna get Heritage yourself, and you're probably gonna lose. So and specifically something like the mirror, this might actually come up where if you go first and you cannot kill on 2nd stride, you might want to consider going into this to copy MFD and then still have Heritage for your follow-up, because Huanglong and Groovy are both ZTP, so they still count towards your cost for Heritage. So yeah, that's this whole little package here. And the reason we play Huanglong as this slot because Huanglong is a Gear Dragon that Groovy can copy, and in some situations you whiff on the MFD, you can still use Huanglong skill to maybe call something or extend an extra attack. So yeah, that's why Huanglong is the other, like the flip fodder in this. But for the most part, this package just kind of doesn't come up. Your main stride pattern is usually Split Pegasus, Split Pegasus, Avenir or Gear next, and then Heritage. But yeah, that's what this package is here for. And then Split Pegasus, we're gonna, I guess, go over this, but he copies 2 cards in G-Zone and Soul Blast 1 on GB3 to flip something and give himself plus 5k, so that's how you flip the MFD to inherit its skill, so there's that. And then The actual important cards in the G zone is one, the Split Pegasus. So G zone plus 1k for to all your ZTB front row ZTB rears, or all your front row ZTB units. So band included, I think. So that's why you ideally want to flip another copy of itself for its first stride, so you can have 2k to your front row for starting on second stride, because it's the one you stride and the one you flip are both face up. And then once per turn, choose a ZTB rear, put it back to bottom, put it back into your CB1, flip anything. Put ZTB rear back to your or put a rear back into your deck and call 2 cards that are 1 grade lower than the card you put back. So if you put a 3, you get to call 2 2s, etc., etc. And this just needs a ZTB heart, but all your hearts are ZTBs. So yeah, this card just a really good +1. Your most common combo with this is Jet Z, spin an opponent's grade 2, call a grade 3. And you put that 3 back, call 2 grade 2. So that's your most common line with this deck on first stride. But yeah, Split Pegasus, very good card. Avenir, on his when this unit attacks, CB1, G Persona flip, check top 5 and call for every face up card in your G zone, you call 2 ZTBs from among the top 5. So attack extender, and then GB3, all your ZTB rears get plus 2k, so front row and back row. So this plus 2 Pegasus face up gives 4k to your entire it just gives a bunch of column. It gives 6k to a whole column, so it makes your column scale really well. So that's really good there. And yeah, only issue with this card is that the amount of cards you check off the top is really little. So sometimes you just don't have intercepts off the top and you just die because of that. But yeah, Avenir is still a really good card regardless, and it's your best quote unquote finisher aside from Heritage. But yeah, I'm only playing 2 of it. Like I said earlier, ideally you have 4. Next off, 2 gear next. So on play, you G flip to gain the following 2 abilities. At the end of the battle, this unit attack the Vanguard. Choose 3 ZTBs from among your hand or your board, put them back into your deck. Stand this unit, draw 1, gets -2 drive, and then GB4, when this unit attacks, if it's the second battle of that turn, so basically on a 3 stand, draw 1, and you give it plus 10k and plus a drive. So because you're doing this on second stride, always, and your first stride will always flip, this essentially says you neg 1 to restand, you get a bunch of power armies. So Gear Next is really good for that, and it clears out your board. So against something like Link Joker, you can clear out your front row on second stride, so that's really nice there. But yeah, Gear Next is sometimes your second stride option. Usually you choose between Avenir or the Gear Next. And finally, the new win condition of the deck is the Heritage we did go over earlier. When it goes back to G zone, you flip 4 ZTBs that are face up, your G zone face down to gain an extra turn and stride him again at the start of your turn. So a really good card. It is the dumbest win con in the game now, in my opinion. You just get a free extra turn for playing the game on third stride. So yeah, that's it for the deck profile, and I'll go to some games after this. So I will see you guys there. So for our first game, we are playing against Chaos. So the mulligan priority in this deck is basically, do you have Jet Z? Yes. Okay, cool. You can hold. You can play a little more. You can mull a little less conservative and keep everything you actually want. So extra intercepts and all that, PGs and all that. But if you don't have Jet Z, you basically mull back everything that is not your grade 1 and grade 2. Maybe hold the PG if you're paranoid about just dying for no reason. So yeah, basically the mull priority in this deck is basically, do you have Jet Z? Yes. You're good. Don't have it, mull back basically everything else. So that's that. And then early game, this deck actually does have early game. Despite the fact that this deck does not have any cards that are not GP locked for straight 2s and stuff, because this deck plus is so hard on that first ride, you spin one of your opponent's rears, and then you spin one of your opponent's rears, you call your grade 3, and then Split Pegasus can get you 2 grade 2s off of that, or some combination of spinning your opponent card, getting a card, and putting that back to get 2 more cards. Because of that, you can actually afford to just slam down cards early just to block damage, which is really nice, because at the end of the day, this next win con is get the third strike to extra turn them. So being able to just slam down a bunch of stuff early is actually really good for this deck. So yeah, here opponent does whatever. I think for the most part, I just skip to the first stride and all that. He locks 2, so it's whatever. Here I spun his Zinc that was on the board because I wanted to because I didn't want him to use the Zinc because he didn't use it last turn for whatever reason. He didn't want to save the booster. So here I just spin his Zinc, call a resist, and then I flip whatever. Here flip the Honglong. Put 2 of my hand back to the deck to call down 2 Napadas, make him deal with. And here we don't do any damage, but we also deny him the CB to actually do anything on his first strike. He needs to burn all his soul to do everything if he wants to. So despite not doing damage here, despite not doing damage here, it is fine. And we also have a potential stand we can play for. We are playing 2 of those in the deck. Even though one's in our hand, there's still a chance we flip the 1. So yeah. So here we do that. he does his turn. He goes into what's this thing called again? The whatever this on hit Messiah is. So yeah, he's also dumb and fucking underswings the 7 into my 9, and then it's only killed 1 Napata, so he's also dealing another Napata on the next turn. So it's cool, whatever. And here our second stride, because of the matchup, we are obviously going to go for Gear next, because we want to clear out our own board, so he doesn't. So when you want to clear out our own board, so he doesn't give him anything to lock. We call whatever grade 3 here, doesn't matter too much because we're just gonna put it back anyways with Gear next. So we do Gear next, and then we use the snake, or the snake just gets power, which is nice because now it scales the column, so it's over defensive. Makes exactly 21 with the Napata, with 1 face up, 1 Pegasus face up, so it's pretty good there. And yeah, no reason to do anything else here. We just swing and put everything back to the bottom of our decks. So pretty nice there. But because the Napata's a backwards, we can actually leave the Napata on the board too if you want to. Because even if he locks it, it's still only a backward. We still actually have a front to swing with. So here, Gear next. You push. We push for a clean 4 damage, which is very, very nice here. And even offensive wouldn't matter. Even if I didn't hit a trigger there and he hit the defensive here, doesn't matter because we we get power on the restand, so defensive does not matter. So here we put back the 2 front row rears and an extra stand, put those back in the deck. We restand, we swing, all the good stuffs. Draw a card, get more power. Or I'm overhand now, which kind of sucks, but as long as we live to the next turn, we win the game because this is our second stride. And from 2, Chaos cannot kill you from 2 past, I have 3 cards in hand, so here he can do whatever he wants. He can't even kill it because he doesn't have soul that spawns the thing. So yeah, here he goes in the thing, he locks some stuff and forces me to hand lock here, which is kind of, I don't know why I did that, but yeah, he pushes me to 5s, whatever, who cares. And now we hand lock some cards, whoop-de-doo, whatever. We re-ride for the extra soul. So that is something you do a lot in this deck because you stride for free every turn for the most part. You can re-ride just for the soul, which is here, which is nice because we want that 1 extra soul to spin a rear. And here we go into Heritage. We spin one of his intercepts. We call whatever grade 3 from our deck. In these situations with low deck counts, usually you end up calling out a draw trigger out of your deck just to take it out so you don't flip it. Because here, as you can see, we are at a single-digit deck size, so deck out, even though we have 2 turns, is a potential issue here. So yeah, we go rear, and then I do actually use this thing here to try to extend for an extra attack, because I have no draws left, so I'm not really too cared of decking out too much here. So I use this, check top 3. I find this dude. I call this dude because I want to make sure I actually have a way to guarantee I don't deck out on the next turn. So we call this. Doesn't hit, but it's whatever. We have 2 turns, so yeah, it doesn't really matter if this hits or not. Heal card check. Soul charge 1 just for the soul next turn because we do need soul to actually use him next turn. So we flip a stand here, so there's actually 2 extra checks because the unicorn hits by itself, and then that guy hits now because of the trigger power. He hits, we knock a PG out, knock another heal, and we don't use this because we don't want to take 2 green cards out of our deck. He takes the damage, he heals, but it doesn't matter because we have an extra turn. So he heals, actually does not matter, and then you'll see here, you see Heritage prompt. He goes out to zone, and then you flip 4 face down, and you stride him again, and you get an extra turn. So despite him 6 healing, it does not matter at all whatsoever because we have an extra turn to play with now. And since I set up that the Recycler dude in the front row for the next turn, we are at no danger of decking out too, because I think we still had a heal left in our deck, I think. And we don't use that, but in case we actually needed more cards in deck and we had just had an extra soul, we can definitely just spin one of our own cards with Jet Z. And here, as you can see, I chose to put back the grade 2, the Lego Dragon grade 2, because with this small of a deck size, I'm basically guaranteed to find it off the top after my drive check. So with this, you can go like rear, and then Van Swing, and then you can use the Spearhead Unicorn to find that grade 2 and extend after that. So what you put back here in the lake actually can matter because if you put back like pieces, you can find them off the Unicorn and extend even harder. But obviously, he had no more cards left because he died last turn. He 6 healed to stay alive for me to get the extra turn, so it didn't matter. So yeah, but that's just something to keep in mind is that you can recycle pieces and then find them off the top with the Unicorn. So that's it for game 1. Game 2 here, I got fucking sacked up by Kagero, but we play against Kagero again on the next game. So yeah, Early, like I said, early game, you just put a bunch of stuff out. You can't put a bunch of stuff out. So as you see here, I just slammed down 3 cards. I'm like, this is Overlord. He's gonna kill myself late game anyway, so I'm just gonna slam down everything, not make him deal with it. Destiny at most pops 1 of these intercepts, and then I still have 2, so I only take 1 this turn. So that's really nice. As you can see here, that the stride pattern is more or less always the same every game. It's usually almost always split Pegasus into Avenue or Gear Next into Heritage for 3rd stride per game. So yeah, pretty streamlined deck too. Pretty easy to play, I'd say. Here I put that back, call down 2 Napadas, because at the end of the day, Overlord, the only way Overlord is dealing with this many intercepts is actually going into as slamming down an original DL or going to Titan to clear some of this. Even Titan doesn't clear all this, because this is like 4 intercepts. And even though there is Retire in this matchup, Dran can die. If my opponent wants to kill the Dran off, it means he can't deal with all my intercepts, which I'd also be fine with. So that's why I use the Dran here to grab it back, so I can try to dig for something next turn. We find a PG at the top with the grade 2. Very, very nice. And obviously we don't boost any of these columns, so we can play for a stand if we're still in our deck. We got a heal. Very, very good there. No stamina, whatever. Heal is very nice. Yeah, our opponent does whatever. He he hit me for 2 damage basically. He pinged me 1 and then hit me once with the ban. So still dealt with a lot of my intercept stuff, but we heal down again and we still have the Dran stayed alive, so that's the important part here. So here we just go into Avenir. Try to push for damage, push for as hard as we can. Avenir, skill. And since we have 2 Mary blocks, we can just eat them both for power to scale if we really need to. There's honestly not a whole lot to go over with this deck. I think the game plan is actually very, very streamlined. Every game is basically almost always the same thing. You just go split Pegasus first stride. I guess if you actually have 2 pairs of Avenir, sometimes you might go Avenir first stride, but more often than not, split Pegasus first stride is still better than Avenir first stride, even if you do have 2 pairs. But yeah, here we use the booster to scale. So that was a good this is a good 2 checks from 3, so pretty good, pretty nice there. And here I'm just seeing if there's anything I actually wanted off this grade 2, and there isn't, and I'm also low on deck count too, so no point taking cards out of my deck for no reason. But yeah, my opponent lived, but it doesn't matter because next turn we Heritage. He purges me again. He does like no damage here. So 4 PGs in hand. We reride for the soul. We reride for soul. And go into Heritage, and it is game over. My opponent has 3 cards in hand. There's no way he can live past this. Even if he lives past this turn, he still has to deal with an extra turn. So yeah. So as you can see here, Heritage can be it's just a really stupid win con for this deck now. And here I'm just thinking like, what is the best way to check for everything? So here, because ideally, since I have so little deck count, I'd ideally like to not go into the extra turn if possible. But yeah, you do this. Reset a whole column with that. We can swing with a Sneck unboosted, and we can use a Spearhead Unicorn to call something to the other side we really want to here. And here, he's out of heal, so this just guarantees lethal. There's literally no way we can get to the extra turn here. And I called the heal guard out here just so I don't deck out. Because, he's dead here. So, yeah. Even though the left right hand has a guard, he gets guard checked and then heal, pokes, and then the left side pokes, and then Heritage go for game. If he lived, we had an extra turn. But, yeah. As you can see, this deck's game plan is very, very streamlined. Not a whole lot of variation to the deck. So, yeah. Not the most in-depth gameplay analysis or anything like that. But, yeah, this deck's game plan is very streamlined. It's just, can you get the 3rd stride? If you get the 3rd stride, you basically auto-win. So, yeah, that's it for this deck profile. Tell me what you guys think about this deck down below in the comments. Like and subscribe, all the good stuff, and I will see you guys next time. Peace out.